Freaky stuff!
G'day, it's Nathan here again. Welcome back to Things and Stuff. Today, I'll be making Baby Yoda, encased in resin. To start, I need a Baby Yoda, and I need this glass jar. Then I decided I don't need the glass jar, but the top will come in handy for our bottom. Geez, that doesn't make much sense, does it? And I don't think we need this silicone gasket, so we will just chuck that to the side as well. So I took Yoda out of his packaging and placed him on the base. Oh, look at that. He comes with a nice pet frog too. Oh, isn't that cute? He has a pet. I then decided to check out just how poseable our little Baby Yoda was. Oh, bugger. Geez, I'm off to a good start, aren't I? Then, after carefully reattaching Yoda's arm, I placed him on our base and sketched out where I wanted our little pond. I then stuck some masking tape on some cardboard and cut it to the size I needed. This will act as our wall to hold the plaster in. I'm going to pour plaster in here, but I need to block out where the water will go, so I got some plasticine and carefully proceeded to block out the area where I wanted our little pond. Then I totally scrapped that idea completely and just poured plaster over the entire thing anyway. Once that was all set, I placed our Yoda roughly where I wanted him and sketched out where I wanted our little pond. Hang on, haven't I done that step? Then I got the Dremel tool and started to carve out our pond. Yeah, this is going to take quite a while. Then I got a chisel and started to carve out our pond. Okay, this too is going to take quite a while. Okay, it's time to get serious. We're going to use this tool thingy here to get the job done. You know, it's one of those things. That should cut through this easily. Which I'm happy to say it did. Then I went back to the Dremel to refine our pond setting just a little more and got it looking kind of how I really wanted it to look. Then I decided to use my Jason Voorhees skills to hack and slash at the surface and scratch and roughen it up a little. Then I grabbed some Mod Podge and some brown paint, poured the Mod Podge in a cup, added in the paint, and gave it a good old mixing. I then brushed this over the entire surface to act as a sealer and primer, or if it's roughly the right colour, I won't even have to do any more painting. Then I grabbed some craft sand and poured it into what was left of our Mod Podge paint mixture. And I added that to the top of our display to create some dirt type texture stuff. You know, just basically dirt. Then I squished Baby Yoda down into our fake dirt to create a spot for him to get glued down into later. I then squirted some paint into our paint tray and mixed up a slightly lighter brown to dry brush on top of our dirt to break up that flat, boring look. I then began to paint our pond, starting at the bottom first with a dark blacky blue colour, followed by a light green at the top, then a medium green in the middle. I used water to carefully blend the colours together seamlessly. Oh, look at that, nice and blended. Once that was dry, I gave it a quick spray with some matte spray to seal it all in. I then got some super glue and gave Yoda a sticky foot massage and squished him down in his new forever home. Then I got some little grass thingies and began randomly gluing them down on our pond setting. One here, one there, you know. It's now ready for some resin. But first we need to make another wall to stop the resin from pouring out. So I used our taped up cardboard trick again and hot glued it around the entire surface. I definitely don't want any resin leaking. Into a cup we poured some resin and hardener and made sure to mix it really well. Really well. Then I thought I would try this green fluoro powder stuff to colour our resin. I was hoping for a slight glowing translucent look. Then I poured it into our little pond. It was looking pretty good. Then I chucked him in the pressure pot and popped on the lid I popped on the lid. Oh, will you just go on? A day later, he was ready to remove and inspect our handiwork. Okay, it wasn't as translucent as I was hoping for, but next time I'll make sure to add way less powder. That stuff is pretty potent. It kind of looks like a radioactive swamp now, but that's okay. Radioactive swamps are great for finding pet frogs. We then wrapped him up again and hot glued that down in preparation for the final resin pour. Oh, I nearly forgot about our pet frog. So I made a lily pad by cutting some green cardboard and then drew some lines and stuff with a dark green permanent marker. I then glued our pet frog to the lily pad and then stuck him down on our green fluoro swamp. Then it was time for the final resin pour. We once again got our resin ready, mixed it well, and completely covered our two new best friends.
2 days later.
Now it was time to remove it from the pressure pot and see what damage we have done. It was a little tricky removing everything as the resin had stuck to our board. Nothing the old hammer can't fix. Oh, forget it. Anyway, it seems that poor Yoda had suffered the effects of a massive burnt head due to the heat generated from the resin curing. I probably shouldn't have put it near the heater to try and speed up the curing process. And we are also left with some air bubbles on the outside, so I'm going to have to sand these away. To do this, I'll go outside and use my belt sander to get this thing nice and square.
Many hours later.
Once square enough, I then proceeded the task of wet sanding our newly shaped object. Yes, this part takes ages. And ages. Then it was time to give it a nice polish on the buffing wheel. I filled in the gaps with wood filler, then covered the resin parts in masking tape. Painted it, removed the tape, but noticed he was still a bit hazy, so I decided to spray gloss paint all over. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Which it kinda did, but the gloss paint caused some streaking and bubbles, which I wasn't too happy with. So I restarted the sanding and buffing process all over again. And that looked much better. Hang on, don't get too excited. I then noticed a scratch on the side and a few on the top near his head. So guess what that means? Yep, that's right. More sanding, more buffing, more polishing. And this time I was finally happy with how it looked. Those scratches were completely gone. Then I stupidly started filming the final reveal, only to realise I hadn't finished off patching and painting the base. So I went off and did exactly that. Now it's time for the final reveal. Well, there it is, folks. After stuffing up quite a few times, I think we have a pretty decent looking baby Yoda relaxing with his cute little pet frog in resin. It was a bit of a challenge, but we...
I don't think that's his pet.
What do you mean it's not his pet? Of course it is. They love each other.
I don't think he loves him quite the way you think.
What? What do you mean?
I think he likes to eat him for lunch.
Huh?
I think he likes to eat him for lunch.
Lunch? No!
Fix your stuff. Fix your stuff.